Okay, so contact event 11, just out here in Mill Lake. There's nothing too much to report except for this was the contact event that I'm in water in a boulder and I become the me that knows them. And I write it in the book. It's a more pronounced transfer over to the me that knows them. And I just thought that has me really zeroing in on what the hell is going on here. Is this electromagnetic? When I become the me that knows them, as I always mentioned, there's a biological experience going on with it. And, you know, I've been talking to other contactees and some other researchers too, trying to like, what do you think? What do you think about this? And the fact that now I'm zeroing in that I'm on a boulder in the water and it's a very pronounced transference over to the me that knows them. So there's like a connection there that I don't even really have the answer to. And so another fascinating piece to that. Right? Contact event number 12. Ian, you did this for me, so thank you, man. So for those who know my story and know that I was presenting publicly, this was the drawing I made of the craft I saw for my 12th contact event. That happens, by the way, sorry, I need to just to keep you all abreast. That happens in Nova Scotia, out here in the Annapolis Valley. Boom. I have a 12th contact event, and the alien was in this craft. And it looks exactly like John Lennon's craft. I had no knowledge of that. Ian, you pointed that out to me, and I just thought that was totally insane, totally amazing. And what a weird synchronicity or connection. And just a similarity, even like the rows of lights, like they're attached, right? And that's what I saw. They're a part of a string of lights, and they were colorful. Mine were colorful lights, and these were red, but it's very cone-like, and yeah, very weird. And so I witnessed the craft kind of swinging back and forth. That's how I recalled it. Before I became the me that knows them, it's doing this weird thing, and then it dropped. Well, there was a couple of those weird motions were witnessed by people in the UFO BC database. So in 2001 in Burnaby's, 2 people mentioned they were traveling by bus when they spotted a fluttering leaf-like motion UFO over the Burrard Inlet. I thought that was really weird. In Maple Ridge in 2001, same year, by the way, we were walking over one of the buildings. I pointed out a white on top, green on the bottom, sphere descending in a falling leaf pattern. So I think that's that. When I'm seeing falling leaf, it's kind of swinging back and forth. And that's what go ahead.
I've come across that description many times, the falling leaf description.
Yeah.
Many times over the years.
Yeah, it's weird. I now know that in Susie Hansen's book, The Dual Soul Connection, she gets the physicist, Rudy Sootchild, and he actually breaks down what he thinks is the gravity. It's like it's a position of the craft, and then it's the way it's basically holding the gravity. Anyway, he explains it in a very fascinating way of what he thinks is going on with a gravity device. As it's kind of lowering. So fascinating stuff, man. Okay, we're skipping ahead. Port Coquitlam is where I had my contact event, but it's only a couple hundred meters away from a landing. Boom. So this is where I see the Man in Black. I have an experience with the Man in Black. And this is the location of my contact event. Right here. Well, a landing occurred right here. Like, I can't even tell you, like, so right here, right there, right here, right there, right here, right there, across the other side of the river. I'm on one side of the river. I meet a Man in Black, and then they're on the other side of the river. Is this report here. So on August 16th, 1974, 3 small boys were returning to their home on the outskirts of Port Coquitlam. The boys then turned towards the source of the noise and saw an object approaching over the trees, traveling south or north, so either way, over the railway bridge, spanning the river. The object had a red light on top and a green on the bottom. The object reversed its course and with an undulating motion headed for a small clearing area amongst the trees in a sand pit. The UFO began to settle down for a landing. In a state of petrified amazement, the boys remained at their point of observation, about 150 feet from the touchdown site. As the object settled down to land, it gave off a blast of hot air that disturbed the ground so violently the boys were covered in a film of dust. Immediately prior to making contact, the object extended short legs And then some action on the part of the machine caused sand and stones to be sucked upwards in a violent swirling manner. A few seconds later, the boy said blue sparks came out from under the ground of the machine. It melted the gravel. People were able to come out and they were able to take samples. So despite the fact that several showers had occurred since the landing, the depressions and carbonized material was still clearly evident. A more ideal landing spot for seclusion could hardly be found. So that's the one I was referring to. So, so perfect were the conditions, so accessible to a major highway nearby, which is this highway. And then the railway tracks. So, yeah, so the railway tracks on one side and the highway on the other side. Basically, yeah, so we're talking a couple hundred meters away from my own contact event. I just thought that was really totally insane, actually. Yeah. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was going to say, it's amazing the number of sightings, or let's say close encounter events that take place within a small, let's say a relatively small area, a wooded area inside an area of population. We've just been doing on Earth Files the cases in New Jersey, and that covered the landing of the craft in Brunswick Park in Jersey City in 1975. But when I started looking at the database for the National UFO Reporting Center database for New Jersey, I saw so many craft sightings on the ground in such a smallish area, and again, this seems to be repeating itself in Vancouver.
Yeah, interesting, man. That's an interesting observation. Yeah, that's you sound like an idiot when I'm talking about a contact event, and this was the area, like with a man in black and a gray alien right here, and it's broad daylight. It's in the woods. Yeah, it's like kind of covered it in the woods, but it's totally insane. And yeah, you're right. The other one just happened right here, like can't even wrap my head around some of this stuff. Actually, it's but yeah,
and it's alongside the river as well.
Alongside the river as well. Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
because I tracked a lot of the cases and a lot of the witnesses that we were looking at in the specific item that we covered last week on Earth Files was along the Hudson River, along that Hudson River, and so we got a lot of sightings along there, which was quite amazing, really. And here we are again seeing the same sort of thing in Vancouver.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they got the Fraser River with the Portman Bridge. You got Coquitlam River here with two sightings close by each other. Yeah, I didn't think rivers, but it's really bizarre that rivers are a part of the picture here. Oh, this is the Man in Black. Okay, we about to say something, Ian?
Yeah, I was going to say rivers and creeks, they also feature in the cryptozoology world with the Bigfoot and Dogman as having, let's say, migratory routes along creeks, almost as though they use them for navigation. Also, train tracks are also quite popular for those cryptid sightings. It's certainly the case in the UK as well.
Interesting, right? As if it's an animal navigating through the woods. We don't have GPS, so then they end up using rivers or even train tracks. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, very interesting. So you actually have a Man in Black. So I have a Man in Black story, and that's what this is, the contact event with a Man in Black and a gray alien here. There's a Man in Black sighting, and this is really interesting. So this one happens in Victoria in 1981. So a young man spotted a UFO over Victoria in 1981 and contacted Canadian UFO Research Network consultant and set up a meeting for the following Monday. Before the meeting, the young man went to a local mall. On stepping out of a phone booth, he saw two odd-looking men waiting to talk with him. They were standing stiff, as if standing at attention. The men were dressed in dark clothes. With a monotonous robot-like voice, one of the Men in Black asked him, "What is your name?" The young man replied, "I'm not going to tell you that." The other Man in Black asked him, "What is your number?" He thought it was an unusual question, as he did not say phone number. He did not answer that question either. The two Men in Black continued to stare at him in silence for a while. Then they turned in unison, like robots, and marched outside. It was raining heavily, and the two Men in Black walked past the parking lot into a nearby muddy field. As they approached a fence on the far side, they disappeared into thin air. The young man went into the field and found they had not even left footprints. At this point, he ran to the nearest bus stop and to take him home. So they're paranormal, right? They're aliens, and I've always said this too. Men in Black are aliens, like the Men in Black are the actually are aliens, and they're paranormal. They are weird, and I just love how they kind of screw up or whatever they're doing here. There's no way they're screwing up. I think this is on purpose when they always act like robots. But they just, I think you could write a book just on the comedy of how many times they say something robotic. There's I'm certain, I can't remember the story. It was someone else who had a sighting. He was in the paper for it, and then the Men in Black showed up at his house, and then the guy said, I have to go and recharge myself. So they're always saying something robotic. Like if they were an intelligent species, you wouldn't constantly, every time you're interacting with a human, say something robotic. I just find that whole thing just ridiculously, like it's ridiculous actually, but just total comedy. And in the moment, I think it terrifies people, right? Like, oh, they treat it seriously, and maybe it is serious. I don't know the degree with which what these things can do. I don't understand the whole picture, but why are they always tripping themselves up with exposing that they are robotic? Like that is just such a weird a weird thing to me. I just find it funny.
Yeah, another feature there is where the Men in Black don't leave footprints. There's that famous picture, the drawing or the sketch from, I believe it's Gray Barker, the three men, flying saucers and three men from back in the 50s. That sketch where they're actually portrayed as, let's say, floating above the ground, and that's how they've been described as well, as not actually making contact with the ground, and their feet are actually shown in the illustration just dragging almost backwards as though they're floating without putting their feet on the ground.
Interesting. Yeah.
But here's another funny thing, and a contactee actually sent me a video that she'd slowed down. No, a photograph that she'd taken of a man in black in a southern coastal UK town, and a man in black was walking along the street. She'd had multiple encounters at that, so she knew this guy. This was something odd. And when we look at the picture that she's taken of this man in black, his foot is bent in an awkward angle. It's too much of an awkward angle for a human foot. It's bent up and out of place. I'll show you that picture sometime, but that is bizarre as well.
What's going on here? What is happening? This is so, and like, again, I'm always at the paranormal goes, then the observation, how it's internalized, still part of the story. And they want to do this. There's no way that an intelligent species is not doing this stuff on purpose. I can't figure it out. And for me, they want to trip you up. They're even giving you the impression that you're being watched, so it terrifies you. So you don't want to report things, right? Like I can't wrap my head around it, but it's hilarious nonetheless. Yeah.
Yes, it's surreal. It's almost like it's parody of itself. The way that surely they can't be this stupid to just do. To do this, we had Terry Lovelace talking about his encounter with the woman in black, and he says that his first thought when he sees her is that wig looks ridiculous, because it's obvious she's wearing a wig and it's not even placed properly on her head. It just looks so strange, so
just like
weird.
Placed it, just like put it on. Just put it on without even putting it, lining it properly.
Do a much better job of it.
Right. That's awesome. So yeah, just again, more, again, here was one by Portman Bridge, in the Port Coquitlam area. I just thought that was really fascinating. So lots and lots of stuff here. Contact event number 18. Okay, so this is the point of my story where I was witnessing a lot of orbs in the sky. And I assumed doing this presentation, I would find a lot of things in the Okanagan. That's where this contact event number 18 occurs. And there's nothing. There was barely any in the area. So I get a couple flip-flops. So I thought that for certain I would have a lot of sightings out in this area, and there's nothing. There's a couple that were slightly interesting that I won't talk about that happened in Oliver, which is just here on the other side of the mountain. Other than that, there just isn't a lot. And I just thought that was a really interesting flip for my story, that the one area that I feel like would have a lot actually doesn't really have that much. So Duncan, though,